like everything's actually fine, because if the public really freaks out, then they're going to have a bigger problem on their hands, and whatever gain they might have might actually blow up in their face, as people might say, want a new social design.
So if the panic comes out and no one is actually spending anything, it's not buying Christmas presents, and it's not, taking their money out of the bank, will that be detrimental to them?
Well, it'll be detrimental to the corporations to a certain degree. I think, but they don't. The thing is, people aren't buying things because they don't have the money to do so. There's no availability of money because there's not enough people willing to take on new loans, or there's not enough people willing to do all the attributes that are required. There's not enough jobs available. Jobs are drying up because the resources of larger corporations are drying up because their loan structures are failing as well. So I believe that. So yes, basically it injures the larger elements of the corporations because they need the money to come in because they have their own debt to deal with. Everyone is susceptible to this game on one level or another. The banks, they have the highest degree. They can manipulate things to a certain degree, but of course they fail too. Now that doesn't mean that the whole system is going to be blown out. Not at all. They keep their bonuses and everything else. They bail out everyone. They're bailing out the automotive industry in America right now. So they do what they have to do. The Federal Reserve is what's called the lender of last resort. It was put in power to deal with this exact problem because they have the ultimate authority of making money out of nothing to bail out all the problems that the fractional reserve system creates. So this is why they're there. This is what they're here for, and that's of course inherently corrupt. So it hurts everybody, but for them it's both a power consolidation and that's basically it. It can preserve their monopoly. They get to absorb smaller banks, just like they did in the Great Depression. But then again, they have to walk a fine line because if the public is too upset, if they really contract the money supply, you're going to have a Great Depression. And I think the establishment really fears an upheaval for social change that could actually override the system. I don't think they're willing to take that risk. So they're going to do their best to keep it afloat as long as they can. I'm of the disposition that they're not going to be able to do it. I think things are going to get a lot worse.
Do you think that it's going to go crash all the way to the ground? We're going to get rid of the finance system? Because that's what I'm hoping.
Well, I think what they'll probably do is if it crashes to the ground again, if the people don't react the way they should, then they'll restructure the financial system in a much more despotic way. And that's the caveat of the whole thing, which is why this information is so important.
As my good friend Brian says, when shift changes, not all the bases are covered.
Right.
And I think that's a really good point because whilst we're in this transition period of something happening, that you can't have your eye on everything. And I think now's a great time to be alive and to be doing things like Zeitgeist and helping change things. So
thank you.
Well done.
Good.
Cool. Really appreciate that.
Oh, sure. I wish I was a little more alive. I've had
It's amazing, man.
I'm really dying.
You can definitely officially go and have a sit down now.
Can you also say something about the connection that people should find with nature?
To you right now?
Yeah.
Or on camera?
Yeah, for the camera, perhaps.
Well,
because I could maybe use it in.
I really kind of have to go.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll say something real fast. The connection, as far as the symbiotic connection.
Yeah.
Well, the symbiotic connection of nature is very important because it's very lost in our traditional belief systems. Religions, for example, they have this particular arrogance to think that we're separate as human beings. We have the soul, and our life here is this testing ground to see if we're going to go to heaven or hell, and things like this. This really detracts from our actual true connectivity to nature, which we're a part of. There's no difference between me and a flower, and to think anything otherwise is utterly arrogant. Life is not just we think we're solid in this form, but we're not. There's tons of things around us that have a direct influence on us. We meld in many different ways. We are affected by the atmosphere. So we are absolutely connected on many, many vast levels. And electronically, our brains are frequency connections. The reason that we see each other is because we are tapped into the same type of frequency. So there's tons of connectivity that people need to realize. And the most important is that when it comes to nature, to the fact that we are connected to nature, and that means everything that nature has, including nature's laws, it creates an entirely new belief system, entirely new approach to life. Once you realize that you're connected to each other, for example, if I realize I'm connected to you, I'm much less likely to behave aberrantly towards you. If I realize I'm connected to the water and to the planet, I'm much less likely not to, say, go pee in the stream I'm drinking from, I'm much less likely to destroy the environment, in other words. So people don't think that way. The corporations go go and they destroy everything because they don't recognize this. They don't see that they're peeing in the swimming pool that they get everything from. Or that's a bad analogy, but that they're swimming in, whatever. So the symbiotic connection of nature is probably the most important realization people can have, because that's what's been lost for centuries. The Greeks had it right a long time ago, and somehow they didn't have everything correct, and we don't have everything correct either. But somehow it was really lost during the Dark Ages when all these other religions came to be. So I think the oneness, to realize that there's no such thing as independence, and that really is a representation of this symbiotic connection on multiple levels, is one of the most important things that people can consider, because it makes all of us the same. It makes us the same with everything else. Therefore, we're interconnected, and you have this sort of unconditional love for things, because you realize your integrity is only as good as the integrity of everything else around you.
Thank you.
Sure.